In this video, we're going to walk you through the template for assignment 5.1, your journal assignment, article findings. So you're not going to alter this template other than to fill in the answers, and you're going to be writing in the boxes in red. Okay? When you look at your feedback, you see the blue numbers in the first column. Your feedback will correspond to those answers. So I might say, you didn't fill out number 1, and that means you forgot your name. Okay. Keep in mind, you don't have to use these templates. Most students find it useful. You are welcome to write the essay suggested in the module and use the rubric to tailor your essay to answer the prompts. But if you do choose the template, we're going to walk through it now. Okay. So again, the first thing you're going to do is put your name. Then you're going to write your article pairing option. If you scroll down to the end of this template, you have all the pairs of articles. Pick the same one that you used for the prior journal assignment. That should be in week 2. Okay? If you need to go back and find your assignment from week 2 to remember which one you picked, go ahead and do that. Because at the end, we're going to combine all of this information for the same 2 articles into one final project. So you can't have done different sets of articles. You have to pick the set and use that throughout. Okay. So you're going to write your article pairing number, 1, 2, or 3, and then you're going to copy the citations, just copy and paste from the end of the template, the 2 that you're doing. Okay. All right, now let's look into the questions. Okay. And in general, I'm looking for succinct, clear, correct answers. I think many students have gotten in the habit of, oh, if I just write more, they'll give me more points. That's not the case for this class. Okay? If you write a ton for one question, it means you probably didn't read the question carefully. Okay? And are just trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it, hoping that something will cover what's being asked. Read the question. Sometimes you have to read it more than once. Okay? So what are the major findings of the first article? So whatever your first article is, the major findings are major results. Okay, why did they bother publishing this study? What does the study ultimately tell us? And this should be in non-statistical form, okay, or non-statistical language. Just if someone said, what are the findings of an article, maybe 1 or 2 sentences that state what the basics of the article are. Again, it's not a topic. Students often miss points because they just write a topic. The findings are actually the results of the study. Okay, number 5 is give at least one specific example of how the first article's findings can be used to solve the health issue discussed in the article. 1 or 2 sentences should suffice. So in your mind, first you have to figure out what is the health issue discussed in the article. And why did they bother writing the article? What was the health issue of concern, or what was the concern that the author wanted to analyze? Okay. And then figure out, well, how did the findings help solve or fix that health issue? Okay. Or at least in part fix that health issue or contribute to fixing that health issue. Then number 6, 7, and 8 all to go together. Students often miss these because they don't follow directions really carefully. So here for 6, you're supposed to list 1 and only 1. That means don't list 2. You should have only 1 number. List 1 and only 1 biostatistical calculation from the first article. You don't have to calculate anything. Pick one of the ones that the article gives you. The article gives you many, many different calculations. Pick one, and you're going to include the actual value. Okay? Now, things like t-test, regression, chi-square test, etc., those are all procedures. Those aren't calculations. Completing those procedures might require you to calculate things, but those themselves are not calculations. Okay? You can list a calculation involved in one of these tests or techniques, but don't just list the t-test because that's not a calculation. Regression is not a calculation. Okay? Okay, so for example, here's an example. The median number of hours studied is 25. Okay, so I would, if that was my calculation, I'd put what it is, right? The median, the number of hours studied, the median is 25 for the number of hours studied. And I would put it right here on number 6. Okay. Do not choose the median. Since I'm giving you an example of the median, pick something else. Otherwise, that's not fair. All right, number 7. Okay, it says explain how the biostatistical calculation mentioned above in number 6 from the first article supports the findings by stating its definition or purpose. Okay, its statistical definition or purpose has nothing to do with the article. It might require some research on your part. For example, if I were doing the median, I would say the median is the middle value when the values of a variable are put in order. It is a useful measure of central tendency. Notice that's the definition of a median. It has nothing to do with anything about the article. Now, number 8 is about the article. It says explain how the biostatistical calculation mentioned above, okay, again in number 6, okay, from the first article supports the findings by explaining what the value means to the article. In other words, why did the author include this value in the publication? Okay. So our median example would say, including the median number of hours studied shows that about half the students studied less than 25 hours and about half studied more than 25 hours. Okay. One way to state the center of the distribution of hours studied is the median of 25 hours. Okay. So I've expanded on the idea of what a median is, and I've included information about this study, about the actual value of the median and why they included it. Okay. Again, you don't need to write a lot. 1 or 2 sentences is completely good for 7 and 8. Number 9 is give at least one example of how you or someone else, you can imagine someone else doing it, could use the findings from the first article either personally or professionally. So again, you have to remember what are the findings, what are the ultimate results of the study, okay, and how could someone use these personally or professionally. Being informed is not using these. So make sure you don't say, oh, I would just be informed when I treat my patients. No, no, no. We're being very specific about how you could use the findings, and being informed isn't using them, okay? Provide an actual example of how someone might use the findings. And then we just get into the second article. Everything's the same for the second article. The only thing you have to be careful about, okay, is when you're picking the value or calculation, there's an extra line here that says do not choose the same type of calculation that you chose for the first article. So for example, in my work, I use the median, okay? I'm not going to use the median for my second article. I'm going to pick something else. Okay, you won't get credit for it if you choose the same value twice, if you do the mean and the mean, or the p-value and the p-value. Okay? Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video and now know how to complete this template.